Welcome to On the JoB with your host, Lynn Parrish, editor of the Journal of Business. On the JoB is about the Inland Northwest business community, where you'll hear firsthand the backstories from the men and women reporters at the Journal of Business. On the JoB is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. Here's Lynn.
Welcome to On the JoB with me, Lynn Parrish, editor of the Journal of Business. We had a new paper drop today, and Mike McLean, our deputy editor, wrote a follow-up story on his big breaking news about Amazon building a large is a bit of an understatement, fulfillment center on the West Plains.
Pretty massive.
Yeah. So welcome, Mike.
Well, thanks.
Mike, we have a story in today's paper about the Amazon project, and you wrote your last one about 6 weeks ago, I would say. What do we know now that we didn't know at that time?
Well, we did see there was some grading permit applications in, so we do know now that the contractor for the project is Layton Construction, based out of Sandy, Utah. Mm-hmm. We also know that through looking through the grading permit documents, there's some other documents that were required as part of that. So we know that their employment estimates start at 1,800 employees, and they mention a peak season of 2,400 employees in 2 months out of the year. But traffic study, that the peak traffic study is based on a maximum of 3,000 employees. So there is that.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting. At 1,800 employees, if that's what it ends up employing, how would that rank in Spokane in terms of largest employers?
Well, it would definitely be in the top 10 of Spokane's largest employers. And it would be the second largest private employer, behind only Providence Health.
Wow, fascinating. So with the Layton Construction Company, it's a somewhat familiar name in the Spokane market, even though they're based in the Salt Lake City area. Isn't that right?
Right. They've done the recent Larry H. Miller, Toyota, and Honda projects. Yeah. So
great.
All right.
Now, do we know anything about the timeline of the project at this point?
Yes, we do. We had an earlier indication that it would be that they were going for June through August, and they were in the documents now. They did confirm that they're hoping to start construction in June and be completed in August of 2019.
Wow, that's great. And did the scope of the project in the new documents that you found, did they stay the same?
They're pretty similar. The footprint is going to be a four-story building. The footprint for the main processing center on the ground floor is about 640,000 square feet. And then in addition to that, there's 40,000 square foot office space that would be attached to the ground floor. And then the second, third, and fourth floors would be each 640,000 square feet of robotic processing.
Sure. And the location, of course, is the same.
Yes.
Just south of the airport, and would we say east of the Geiger Interstate 90 interchange?
Yeah, about midway between the Geiger, that interchange, and the airport, which is
sure. And that's and so obviously that would be visible, highly visible from the from the freeway.
I believe so. Yeah.
And the air. We used the Amazon name in our story, but it hasn't appeared yet in the public record, right? And Amazon is not talking about it at this point. Can you kind of walk us through why you were confident in using the Amazon name in the story?
Well, sure. In our first story, we hedged we did hedge a little bit, and
We did.
And after that story came out, we became more confident because we heard from more than four people with some knowledge of the project that we were on the right track there. And
Sure.
And since we got the grading permit documents, we saw that Layton is the contractor, and they're also right now are building a similar facility in Salt Lake City. We know the developer, Trammell Crow, has worked on other fulfillment centers for Amazon in Oregon, Colorado, and California, just that we were able to easily find.
Right.
And the architect also has done some fulfillment center designs in Florida, California, and Oklahoma City.
Sure.
So, and after our first story came out, Medium OK Talks down in Oklahoma City saw our story, and they were able to confirm that the project we mentioned in our story is indeed a Amazon fulfillment center.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And then there's some cadence or consistency to the names of the projects as they're going through the permitting process, right?
Yes, ours is Project Rose.
Ours being
that's
the one
the
here in
official
Spokane,
name.
yeah.
That's the official name here in Spokane. And that Project Rose design is taken almost identically from Project Star in Oklahoma City.
Uh-huh.
We also know other project names like Project Velo in, I believe that's in Florida. Project Wildcat was Amazon just, I believe, last week confirmed
Sure.
that they're building a fulfillment center there.
Interesting.
And yeah,
Well, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it does end up being 18 to 2,500 jobs. We've heard some suggestions that because of the automated nature of it, it might not be that many, but it states it pretty clearly in the records that you had found.
yes, we've seen several centers referred to as robotic fulfillment centers. All of them have more than 1,000 employees, and I believe they all have they start with 1,500 employees.
Mm-hmm.
So the name robotic and the size of the parking lot gives us some indication that the name robotic isn't really limiting the size of the employee count.
Well, that's great. So, from your perspective, what's next? What will we want to be reporting next on this project?
Well, talking with John Peterson at the County Planning and Building Department, they're anticipating that the grading permits could be improved just in a matter of days. You know, not weeks, but he said days.
Sure.
And so, and Amazon or the developer could at any point now submit a building permit. They're at that stage right now. So then I would anticipate we might hear something from Amazon not too distant future. And one reason I'm speculating that is because this Project Wildcat that Amazon just confirmed last week,
Mm-hmm.
that first surfaced in the first media reports about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so ours first, we broke it on April 12th, and so that would make 2 months, would be around mid-June.
Well, it'll be great to hear what they have to say once Amazon discloses more details about the fulfillment center. and what they hope to do with it here. It'll be great to learn all about that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's from what I'm reading on the other fulfillment centers that they're doing is this is part of a strategy that Amazon is doing to reduce delivery times, and so even for its Amazon Prime members, the ones around here at least might receive their orders in a day.
Wow, fascinating. Well, good work, Mike. Thanks a lot for doing such a solid job of reporting on this subject. It's of great interest to all of our readers and the Spokane community in general. You can check out Mike's story at SpokaneJournal.com, pick up a copy of the paper, and see what's the newest with the developing Amazon story. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon.
For the Inland Northwest's most comprehensive sports report, think outside the porch with Spokesman.com. For just 99 cents for the first month, you'll enjoy unlimited digital access to the news and sports news that affect you most. From EWU to WSU, from Northwest Preps all the way to the Seahawks, we're the local authority that makes sports in the Inland Northwest different than the rest, better than the rest. On your phone, on your desktop, and on your tablet. Subscribe to the digital experience with Spokesman.com.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
Welcome to On the JoB podcast with me, Lynn Parrish, editor of the Journal of Business, and making her podcast debut is new reporter, relatively long-time staffer though, Virginia Thomas. Welcome, Virginia.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
So if you're in Virginia's position, or even my position, it's a wonderful time of the year because the Market Fact book is now done and out. So Virginia was our point person on this project this year, and came in to talk to us about it today. So before we get too far into the data, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Market Fact book itself?
Sure. So it's a compilation of data from a variety of sources on a variety of subjects that are of interest to people living in Spokane and in Kootenai County.
Sure.
We have some Kootenai County data.
Yeah.
It involves, some of it is pretty easy to find data, Census Bureau type stuff. Some of it needs a little bit more digging and occasionally some math, but...
Yeah, math.
Yeah.
So the goal historically of the Market Fact book has been to paint a pretty clear picture in terms of economics and demographics of the Inland Northwest, really. So we've accomplished that again this year. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your process for putting that together?
So parts of it were kind of messy, but I would go back and look at previous Market Fact books and sort of, what does the data look like for that? Where have we gotten data from before?
Mm-hmm.
Usually those are pretty much the same.
Yeah, sure.
And numbers are often fairly similar from year to year.
Ideally, yeah.
But quite a few we noticed some changes trending upward in population and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's dive into the data real quick. And it was kind of funny. At one point, Virginia walked into my office and said, "I never knew I'd be so excited to get numbers about taxable retail sales," which are up, which is good. So looking at the data, we hit some decade highs, and a lot of the data we look at is in 10-year increments. And so can you tell us a little bit about some of that?
Yeah, so in terms of employment, Spokane County saw 226,400 workers in 2017, which is up from 225,000 in 2008. So we've definitely seen a bump there. We've seen the unemployment rate go down just slightly. It's at 5.5%, it was at 5.6 in 2008.
And those are annual jobless rate figures, isn't that
yes,
right, for Spokane County?
Yeah, annual jobless rate. Yep.
Yeah.
We also saw Spokane County foreclosures go down, 464 in 2017 versus the previous low of 560. So Spokane County's looking pretty good these days.
Yeah, not bad in a lot of areas. I thought it was also interesting that some of the numbers from the airport, Spokane International Airport had more total cargo this year, or in 2017, than it had had the previous 10 years, and more passengers incoming and outgoing than it had had in the previous 10 years. So lots of activity. Were there any numbers that gave you pause or that you felt we should be concerned about?
A few things, yeah, actually. I mean, I find all of this statistical stuff interesting because you can get such a clear picture of what's really happening in Spokane. I noticed that of voting age adults, the largest group for Spokane is in the 60-plus range, but the second largest is at 20 to 24. So us millennials, we're coming for you, Spokane.
They're even on the back end of the millennial at this point, right?
I guess they're technically younger than
unnamed generation coming up. So.
Gen Z. Yeah. I also noticed, and I'm sure all of our readers did too, that last year, July and August, we got almost no rain to speak of, which was not good for our fire season, but it's good to keep an eye on.
Sure.
And then I wanted to talk about recycling rates because Deb Geiger over at the county had explained to me that the Department of Ecology no longer allows Waste Management to classify glass as something that they recycle because they use it for lining the landfills. So technically it's not recycled. So we saw rates go way down there. But you should still recycle your glass because it's still...
Probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea. So yeah, good stuff there. Really good stuff. When I look at the things that concerned me a little bit about it, one of them, and I think it's a little bit of a red herring, but we saw foreclosures begun increase in Kootenai County for the second year in a row, and it runs counter to all the other housing data that we see, both on this side of the border and in Kootenai County in North Idaho. But it'll be an interesting thing to watch as we've hit a 10-year low. Are we going to see that number start to go up, and what does it mean for the housing market? Now, I mean, the average home price spiked again this year. The number of sales is increasing. Everything you hear suggests the housing market is thriving, but to see this one number kind of act as an outlier and all that is pretty interesting, and it'll be something to watch next year to see where that is trending. Let's see. So what else? You mentioned recycling. So we have data on environment, education, all that. Was there anything, doing this project for the first time, was there anything in particular that was of interest to you?
Well, I mean, as a millennial coming into that age where I'm starting to think about housing prices,
sure.
Keeping an eye on that was interesting and a little scary. Yeah, houses are selling like hotcakes around here. So
Right.
we'll see if that slows down at all, but I'm guessing not. I think it's just going to keep increasing like crazy.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future. I was just glad to see editor was not on the fastest declining occupations.
Me too.
Yes, you are.
No reporter. Okay.
Yeah. We're not on there this year, and we have been in the past.
Oh.
So, but bankruptcies down, home prices up, median incomes are up. So a lot of really good information in there. Anything else you wanted to talk about this time?
Nothing in particular.
All right.
Yeah, just Spokane, you're looking good.
Yeah, property crime's down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking good. Well, Virginia, thanks for coming in today. And Virginia is just assumed a reporter role with us, so she has a couple of stories in the newest paper. Anything you want to push there?
McKay Manufacturing, speaking of Spokane doing well,
Yeah.
they're doing just fine over there.
That was a great story.
Yeah, so it was really great to meet Katie McKay and walk around their manufacturing plant over there. So check that one out.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks a lot, Virginia. Appreciate it. We'll have you back again and again and again.
All
So,
right.
Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
On the JoB is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. On the JoB is brought to you by our friends at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. Ask Lynn a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com.